with members of the Ogiek community. This follows a landmark ruling by the African Court on Human and People's Rights on June 23rd, which ordered the Kenyan government to return to the indigenous Ogiek people their ancestral lands. Kenya was also ordered to pay reparations to the community, which has been repeatedly evicted to date. The court decision's execution by the Kenyan state remains uncertain. Let's now join my colleague Brenda Zeda Radido, who is at our city studios, to give us more update. Brenda, good afternoon to you. Have the talks ended and what are the resolutions?
Good afternoon to you, Purity. Definitely, it was an intense, if I may use the word intense, discussion this morning at a Nairobi hotel between the Ogiek community, government representatives from the Office of the Attorney General, the Lands Commission, and a representative, the chairperson of the Ombudsman's office, that is Honorable Florence Kajuju. Because the Ogiek community are saying that you need to implement the court's ruling. The government was given a directive by the African Court to implement the directive that you've mentioned, Purity, within the period of 1 year. It's now remaining close to 5 months, and before they return back to the court to tell the government whether the government has actually implemented all the rulings that you mentioned or not. But then a representative from the government, the State Council representative, that is Christopher Mara, who represented the government at the African Court in Tanzania, told the Ogiek community that indeed the government is aware of, through the Office of the Attorney General, is aware of the court ruling, but it has not yet implemented the African Court's ruling, because the ruling was given last year, the 23rd of June, during the electioneering period, because the country was preparing for the general election. And also he mentioned, that process of change of leadership. These are two things that affected the implementation of the court's ruling, saying that now that we have, a new leadership in place, led by President William Ruto, we have a new Attorney General, and saying that the PS in that office will look at the court's ruling and go through it, internalize it, and ensure that it's implemented within time before they go back to the African Court, to give a report as to what the government has implemented so far and what the government has not implemented. But then when it comes to the Ministry of Lands through the Lands Commission, the Commissioner Professor Twitoek gave an assurance to the Ogiek community, saying that indeed the Ogiek community has fought for a long time, for over 12 years, to ensure that they have their land back, saying that they will listen to their land case because they have the ruling. They will listen to their case because the Commission currently is handling about over 3,000 land cases. So the Ogiek community land case is amongst the over 3,000 cases that they're hearing. So they have set a date for within next month. They're supposed to meet the Ogiek community, a representative of that community, to listen to their case so that they can make a conclusion on how that will be done. And of course, they're passionately even asking the government to give them the 150 million shillings fund, that the directive that was given by the court, so that they can use that money to address some of the issues that the Ogiek community has. But then also a representative from the Ministry of Interior told the Ogiek community that they will be working very closely with them, and also together with the Attorney General's office and the Lands Commission and also the Ministry of Land, to ensure that this issue is addressed. Purity, it was an intense, meeting with the Ogiek community representative as they're trying to find a solution to all this court ruling that was given. So the government has about 5 months to go before they implement all the rulings that was given, setting up the 150 million shillings, 58 million shillings fund, ensuring that a title deed is given to the Ogiek community, and any other thing that will be touching on the Mau forest, part of it where the Ogiek community was residing, any decision that has to be made. The court gave a ruling that the government has to ensure that the Ogiek community is actually consulted. They have a discussion with the government when it comes to any decision that has to be made when it comes to the Ogiek's land that is in question. And then, Purity, in just like 3 seconds before I hand it over to you, some of the communities that have history of land injustices, the leading one is Kilifi, which has 900 cases, followed by Mombasa County, which has 250 land cases, Wajir, Taita Taveta, Makueni, Isiolo, and of course the Ogiek community. So Purity, we will give our viewers more in-depth information during our subsequent